Hello and welcome to the Times Now Youth Debate. As a channel, it is our purpose to engage you in meaningful debate that has a direct relevance to the issues in our time. As we grow as a channel, we also will attempt to take these issues among different sections of our viewership. The viewership that matters greatly to us, in fact, perhaps the most, is the youth. And hence, from city to city, on issues that matter to us, that will affect us in some way or the other, we shall go and take the issues among our youth. And first of all, therefore, I'm extremely happy to welcome each one of you in our audience today. You represent the youth. You've come from different colleges and educational institutions in Mumbai. So from me, at a personal level and from Times Now, thank you very much for spending your time this afternoon with us. It means a lot. But what also gives me great delight is that both the subject we are debating in this city of Mumbai, in the great city of Mumbai, is relevant to Mumbai and will make a great difference nationally, the way this debate goes. What also gives me great satisfaction, among the 8 esteemed panelists today, we have 3 representatives of the youth. The youth really is a subjective matter, and many of our participants today do feel like the youth themselves. However, demographically, we have 3 members of the youth, not including me. The subject of debate is this today. Politics encourages terror. To my left, we have panelists who are broadly against the motion. To my right, broadly panelists who are for the motion, that politics encourages terror. Brief introductions before I move straight ahead. To my extreme left, not representing the extreme left, is John Dayal, who's a well-known journalist, activist, and member of the National Integration Council. Thank you very, very much for coming in. To his right, Madhuja Mule is a lawyer. She's just completed her law degree and has currently begun her legal career with a law firm in Mumbai. Thank you very much, Madhuja. It's great of you to come in. Don't spare anyone today. To her right is the very well-known activist, journalist, commentator, and editor of Communalism Combat, has a very strong view on these subjects. Teesta, thank you for coming.
Hello.
To Teesta's right is Abhishek Sengupta. He comes from West Bengal. He's graduated in English literature and is now doing his master's at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences in the 2nd year. Abhishek, thank you for coming. To my right, on the other side of the panel, is Sanjana Govindarajan. She's 19 years old. She's currently in the 2nd year of her graduation, pursuing a BSc in economics at the NMIMS in Mumbai. Sanjana, it's good to have you today. To Sanjana's right is the very acclaimed lawyer and BJP leader Mahesh Jethmalani. Thank you very much, Mahesh, for coming in. And who doesn't know Anupam Kher, one of India's foremost actors, former chairman of the Censor Board and National School of Drama, well-known commentator, activist. If you saw T. Manna at Jantar Mantar, you knew who made his best speech out there. Anupam, it's great of you to come. And to Anupam's right is a man who defines creativity, not just in the Indian film industry, but in advertising in every sector. Prasoon is a communications specialist, of course, one of India's foremost advertising professionals, and writer, lyricist, poet. How many other cards do you carry, Prasoon? Thank you for coming. Briefly, here's the subject today. Politics encourages terror. And I have just one thing to say at the start. Don't pull your punches in this debate. No political party can distance itself from the subject of terrorism. In our country, ravaged as it is by terror, each political party has plunged headlong into a political debate on the issue of terrorism. Terrorism has been on the agenda of political parties during every election, and yet we see absolutely zero follow-up. And hence, I want to begin by saying it's naive, it's immature, and it's unacceptable to believe that political mileage is not attained by pushing the issue of terror. That I say as an introductory comment, not to provoke you. The rules of the game: introductory comments, 90 seconds each, after which the buzzer goes for your introductory comments. Then we take the first vote for his first 90-second introduction on the subject. And I'll go for and against, for and against. Against the motion, John Dayal. Your time starts now.
Politics does not
need not breed terror. Having said that, terror is a response to political subjugation, to other forms of political brutalization.
Okay.
It is mindsets. It is imaginary creations of the other that breeds a situation where groups, people, individuals pick up arms. Historically, Ireland had terror. It ended up in democracy. Other people have had terror, ended up in democracy. But if we are going to exploit it politically, as you have correctly said, if you're going to take mileage out of it, if you're going to set brother against brother, learning false lessons out of acts of terror, then I'm afraid we would actually be breeding terror.
Introductory comment. Thank you very much. Prasun Joshi. Politics encourages terror.
Yeah, I think it's important how you view politics. Politics could be seen in religion. Politics could be seen in everyday life. I think wherever there is politics, even in an office environment, in an everyday workplace, what makes people insecure, what makes one against another is the political mindset. You know, I had written this poem which I want to read 4 lines because every time I wanted to read this, people felt that this is not the right atmosphere. People are against people who create terror. बारूद जब बच्चा था तब तितली पकड़ता था. बारूद जब बच्चा था तब तितली पकड़ता था. वो अंबिया भी चुराता था, पतंगों पर झगड़ता था. अगर तुम उसका मांझा लूटते वो कुछ नहीं कहता. थोड़ा नाराज तो होता मगर वो फिर भी खुश रहता. मगर धोखे से तुमने उसका बचपन भी तो लूटा है. जरा देखो तो उसकी आंख में वो कब से रूठा है. जुगनुओं की रोशनी में दिल लगाने दो उसे. धूप के सिक्के उठाकर गुनगुनाने दो उसे. बैंगनी कंचे हथेली पर सजाने दो उसे. जब बच्चा था तब किसी ने उसके माइंड को पोल्यूट किया था. वो पॉलिटिक्स थी. दैट वाज पॉलिटिक्स. पॉलिटिक्स डेफिनेटली ब्रीड्स टेरर.
Prasun, thank you very much. Madhuja, speaking against the motion. Politics breeds terror. Go ahead.
I think when Mr. Joshi started his speech, he said, how do you perceive politics? My question is, how do we perceive terrorism? Is terrorism only when we get attacked from outside? I think terrorism breeds or is encouraged with people's ideologies and their basic mindsets. I think we need to fight that first and then move on.
Okay, you're not going hard on the issues of politics and terror. Anupam.
Well, I think the lack of political will on the part of our political leaders is the main problem in tackling terrorism. I think in India, it's a completely different problem. I don't see any politician actually concerned about terrorism, except when an act of terrorism happens, they reach there, give a speech or sympathize with the people, and then they disappear till the next unfortunate event takes place. I think there is very major examples of the terrorists which are languishing in the jail, and the government is protecting them rather than giving them a sentence which has been given to them by the court. The fact that terrorists who have been caught in the act of terrorism, in this case Kasab or Afzal Guru in the case of parliament attack, they are still waiting for presidential pardon or president getting interfering. So that is a politics which is stopping the country to fight terrorism. Well, let's forget about the actual kind of uniforms not given or the police not being equipped or something. That's a technical point I'm not talking about. Can you imagine anywhere in China, Russia, America, Britain, that you have caught a terrorist and we are still debating whether he should be hanged or not? The problem is that we don't take any action. And because we are not taking action, I start doubting the intentions of politicians. That are we doing it for vote bank or are we doing it for something else? That's what my point is.
Okay. Tista, let's get specific here. I'm only saying here, let's get very, very specific here. I request our panelists today come hard on the issues. We know what happened in Zaveri Bazaar on the 13th of July. We know how many people were killed. We know 133 people were injured. What is the action so far? 0. Is politics a reason? I'm trying to focus the debate. Tista Setalvad, against the motion.
politics does not breed terror. It is irrational mindsets that breed hatreds, convince and indoctrinate people that violence and killings are the methods of sending your message rather than other means. Irrational mindsets, warped mindsets that emerge from different societies. Remember, different societies that pit one section as worthy of being targets of violence, whether it is violence of the mob, as in Gujarat, violence of the bomb, as in Javeri Bazaar, or the violence of the gun, as in the Taj or the VT station, or Norway. Different societies that convince themselves irrational mindsets. Apart from that, it is inefficient policing, lack of investigations in the police, and the inability of a society, not just politicians, to demand independent policing free of corrupt machinations. A corrupt system that allows dangerous substances like RDX and ammonium nitrate and gelatin sticks, which are subject to international protocol, to leak out. RDX, believe you me, is supposed to only be with the Indian Army. How is it found in the open market? A media which is ill-informed and does not focus on issues like a reform in our police system and plugging the leaks of these dangerous substances, and does not fight the irrational mindsets that breed terror. That is why terror in different form is in our midst.
Okay, Teesta Setalvad presents a point of view. It's malgovernance. You need police reform, but Teesta completely avoids the question of whether terror strikes have been politicized and communalized in the past. I will come to that, Teesta, and I hope someone from the other side questions you on that. I don't know if Mahesh Jethmalani will. Mr. Jethmalani, your 90 seconds.
Well, first of all, I want to enter 3 caveats. Please remember what the subject here is. We are not saying politics breeds terror. We are saying politics encourages terror, and there's a huge difference between those 2 aspects. Focus on the fact that does politics encourage terror? 2, I'm going to restrict myself from the Indian experience. Far be it from me to know about Basque separatists and island. What does the Indian experience teach us? Does the Indian experience teach us that politics encourages terror? My answer is a unanimous yes. The Indian experience shows that politics does encourage terror. And thirdly, it is not politics that inevitably, inherently encourages terror. It is irresponsible politics and irresponsible politicians that encourage terror. So that is my caveat. And I, when supporting the motion, will support my case with reference to inane statements by politicians in the wake of terror in defense of lapses on their part. 2, lack of punishment for convicted terrorists up to the highest level for vote bank politics. No speedy trials for terrorists facing trial. And lastly, communalizing terror.
You will substantiate these later.
Yes.
On the other side, you have another point of view, which says, the definition of terror is different from yours. I'd like to point this out for audience. On the left-hand side is an argument which says separatists are also a form of terror. People who don't govern properly are also contributing to terror. People who are intolerant are also contributing to terror. On the other side, you have a very hard definition that is emerging of terror. Well, let me introduce our next panelist today. Go ahead, straight right ahead, Abhishek, against the motion.
I think whether politics breeds terror or not, politics definitely dilutes the issues of terrorism and terror activities. A terror investigation has a formula. Whenever there's a terrorist attack in the city, certain areas in the city are termed as sensitive areas. These are normally Islamic areas. The police would conduct a few raids. End of this raid, a few youth would be arrested. Many of them may or may not, some of them may or may not have affiliations to Simi or other Muslim organizations. After these arrests, their family members are harassed, tortured, and sometimes even detained unlawfully for days and months. What I believe is this, with lack of intelligence, with lack of proper law enforcement bodies and law enforcement mechanisms, this is how a city like Mumbai copes with terrorism. Another question. The 26/11 attacks, we all know the role that the Pakistani government and Pakistani agencies played in that. However, there's been no steps taken by the government of India, no pressure put on Pakistan, neither has the government been able to generate any political pressure on Pakistan. Why is this happening? That's my question. Why are the guilty still staying there and not being able to, and we are not being able to bring them?
Is your position a little ambivalent?
My position.
Are you firmly against the motion that politics encourages terror?
I think no one can be firmly against this motion. When Mr. Jethmalani said that, I would later on really like to know a lot of your viewpoints on the BJP stand and the RSS and the VHP stand on issues of politics. Because when you make a powerful statement like what you just made, I think you are diluting a lot of issues. A lot of deconstruction needs to happen on what you just said.
Okay, a number of the major attacks which have been carried out with significant help and under the aegis of a group called the Indian Mujahideen, under the Houji. We need to get hard on these issues, therefore, and I'd like to encourage my panelists to get more and more specific. I'm coming to interjections. Our last, in terms of introductory comments. Sanjana, go ahead for the motion.
I would like to take a slightly different angle to this, as it's very characteristic of our country and Indian politics. Post-terror outrage does not unite our political parties. In fact, what it does is it instantly leads to mutual recrimination. In no other country of the world that claims to be a democracy do we see as much acrimony in facing an issue that is considered a national threat. And here we are talking about a country that has been fighting the likes of terrorism for the last quarter century. After the 13 July blasts, the entire political drama was carried out. The government played its role, the opposition played its role, Bal Thackeray played its role, and we all resigned to the fact that life goes on. I believe our hands-on approach to terrorism is extremely flawed in many dimensions. The police force is still very sadly equipped. The intelligence officials still go unheard. I believe terror laws can be in place, but they do not necessarily prevent terror attacks. What we need is a political will to prevent these terror attacks, and I think this will is not there. This will is lost because our politicians are too busy focusing on vote bank politics when they should actually be making important decisions regarding national security issues. So I believe, yes, politics does encourage terrorism to a great extent, and it will continue to do so till we stop playing partisan politics, till India stops playing the opposition game all the time, until our politicians stop playing politics with terrorism itself.
Okay, Sanjana, thank you for your introductory comments. Now I'm going to take a raise of hands from our audience. How many of you, first let me take a raise of hands. How many of you are for the motion? And how many of you are against the motion that politics encourages terror? You have any doubts of the way this debate is going?
Of course.
No, one sec. I'm coming to you. I know that you have a lot of encouraging to do.